The kids will be fine. Calm down.
What? Breakfast?
Okay, we'll call our meeting to order and begin with the superintendent's report.
Well, welcome everybody. It's so great to see such a big crowd here out at Indian Lake. Very excited to be here. Just wanted to take a quick moment, obviously with spring break coming up very soon. Just wanted to thank our amazing staff, our amazing students, our amazing board, our amazing parents, our amazing community for all that you do to make Vicksburg Community Schools what we are. So thank you. And if I don't see you before spring break, I hope all of you have a great time and get some rest. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the principal, Dr. Sarah Basalia, for some recognitions.
Okay. I'm going to try a microphone. I got to stand here too. Okay, so I just have one recognition tonight. I hope she's here. Oh my goodness. Maybe she's not even here. Oh well, it'll be on the live stream. So, as administrators, we all kind of talked and really wanted to just recognize this person tonight. So the character trait of the month at Indian Lake is optimism. And this evening, the administrators of VCS would like to recognize someone who demonstrates optimism in an exemplary way. This person is Jessica Wheeler-Ponton, who is not even here. I'm so sad. But she has many talents and gifts that she shares with VCS. She's proactive, she's quick to help, and she consistently shares positive news, student successes, and the amazing things that are happening throughout our buildings and our school community. She is a skilled writer and communicator, and we have seen community support and understanding grow because of her work. So thank you to Jessica for your dedication and setting an optimistic tone in VCS.
Here, here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to let you introduce.
We'll jump right in. Okay, so tonight we have some students who are going to kick us off. And I'm so excited to introduce our student council. They're going to share a few things with us, and then they'll turn it over to our choir. Let me get their slides ready for them. And we're going to try to just maybe set this microphone on here and see how it goes. Okay, Miss Avery, come on up. You can hold that too.
Welcome to our school, Indian Lake Elementary. My name is Avery Bailey, and I am the Student Council President at Indian Lake. We are happy that you are hosting your meeting here this month. We hope you will take some time to walk the halls of Indian Lake at the conclusion of your meeting. We are proud of our school and would love for you to experience how special it truly is. It's our home away from home.
My name is Violet Campbell, and I am the Vice President of Student Council here at Indian Lake. We'd like to share a few things the Student Council has done to help our school be the best it can be. First of all, we'd like you to experience how we as Indian Lake families start our day.
We start each day with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand respectfully facing the flag with your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing after we say the pledge as a student body. We recite our own Indian Lake pledge. This pledge unites us and helps us start our day with a focus and purpose. Please recite the Indian Lake pledge with us. We at Indian Lake are a caring community of learners, where each individual gives an honest effort, respects all others, and takes responsibility for itself. We'd like to give you a few highlights of some of the things we've done and are proud of. During the month of October, students collected 2,347 pairs of socks during our Socktober Challenge. This is the most socks we have collected so far in the history of this event. Student Council Mrs. Schmidt's class collected the most amount of socks because students like Colton Aldenberg got his mom to get her work friends to donate socks. We're donating to Kalamazoo Gospel Mission.
Other things we have done this year that we are proud of is fundraising for our school. Each month, we ask for donations for our Popcorn Friday. On the first Friday of each month, students enjoy popcorn during our pause assemblies. Students are asked to donate $1 or more to help us raise funds for our schools. We appreciate all the student council moms, dads, and grandparents that help us with this event each month.
Also this year we held a student council t-shirt fundraising event. Orders were collected just before Christmas so that Indian Lakers could receive Olaf swag. As a Christmas gift, thank you to my mom, Tiffany Swartz, for donating her time and energy to this fundraising event. These fundraisers help us supply money to teachers for books that they gave to students as gifts for Christmas. We have plans to make playground improvements and honor our teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week in May, with some of these fundraising money as well.
We also try to have fun at Indian Lake so that students want to be here. The Student Council helps organize special spirit weeks and events that are fun for students and staff. Sometimes our staff members at Indian Lake enjoy these days as much as students. Next, we'd like you to enjoy our Indian Lake 4th and 5th grade choir conducted by Mrs. Heinzelman.
So
Mickey song. This must be familiar to you, Steve. This melody is the Mickey Mouse.
I'm glad Kevin has to follow that and not me.
Yeah. Students, that was outstanding. Thank you so much. You can tell we have some gifted speakers and leaders and some very high-level singers. So congratulations. Thank you for the entertainment tonight. Really appreciated that. Because now I get to the boring stuff, right? So. Just real quick, I'd like to just give a couple updates. What's going on in Lansing last week. I spent 2 days with legislators, and we had some very, very productive conversations regarding some bills that are out there. And that day, the Read by Grade 3 bill came up, and that's the Senate Bill number 12 that repeals the retention piece of the state's Read by Grade 3 law. That has passed the House and is now awaiting Governor Whitmer's signature. She is expected to sign that bill, and what that would do, it would remove that automatic retention piece for third graders that didn't hit the proficiency mark. Just a few highlights of that passed bill, though, however. The bill would remove the retention language only. It's not going to have immediate effect, so this really wouldn't take place until next spring. And then the language around the interventions and supports for students in the bill will stay. So really all we're removing here is the retention, which we've all discussed before, just not a sound educational practice. So that is good news. Once that is signed, I will let you know. And just a couple other things that happened. The Michigan House has voted to repeal right to work and to restore prevailing wage. Those House bills 4004, 4005, and 4007 were moved to the House floor out of committee, and they all did pass. The bills have now moved to the Senate for consideration. There's going to be plenty of discussion that's going to occur around this, and I'm sure you've seen many articles regarding these bills. So more information regarding these bills will be made available later this week as the Senate discussion occurs throughout this week. And I just wanted to make sure the board, just a reminder, I did put the latest update from both the School Equity Caucus as well as the MASA legislative update in your packet. I'd like to draw your attention to some important dates that are coming up. Talk Everlasting, the musical, the high school musical, opened up last weekend, and there's still 2 opportunities to see this fantastic show, this Friday at 7 or Saturday, the matinee at 2. And just a couple other reminders, next Thursday, it's a half day for students, half day records, and then we will officially kick off spring break next Friday, March 24th, and we'll return to school on April 3rd. And just a couple other things, just reminders, our next meeting will be in the PAC at the high school. That will be when Mr. Brush will present senior awards. We are there. It's that time of the year. It's hard to believe.
It is.
But yeah, here we are. So that's my report.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to reports of public inquiry, budget and finance report. Steve?
Okay, two quick things to report on this evening. First one being the normal monthly budget progress report, which includes activity for the first 8 months of the fiscal year, which, again, going back to what Kevin just said, it's kind of mind-blowing that the year is going as fast as it is. Taking a look at revenues, on a year-to-date basis, revenues stood at just over $17.35 million, or about 52% of the total. The one thing I'd want to draw your attention to, or just make a few comments on, local revenues are, at this stage, already a little bit above the preliminary budget, and we're, significantly ahead of where we were at this time last year. And majority of that, there's a few things there. We're tracking a little ahead of where we typically are on property tax collections, so that's a good thing. We also had insurance proceeds of about $120,000 more than we were at this time last year. We've had a couple of significant claims on that. Investment income is about $57,000 higher than where we were at this time last year, and which is good news. And then just really kind of across the board, athletic gate receipts, kids club, childcare, those kinds of things are all tracking ahead of where we were at this time last year, which is a good sign and just more evidence of how things have more or less returned to a much more state of normal. All right, on the expenditure side, total instructional expenditures stood at $10.17 million, or about 51.4%. Total support services, $7,133,000. And then you can see athletics at $425,000, community services at $314,000. So on a year-to-date basis, we're at about 55% of expenditures for total expenditures of $18.04 million. Second page of that report breaks down expenditures by object code, and you can see that salaries and benefits, year-to-date, we're at about 53.4% of the projected total for $14.3 million, and then you can see there's a breakdown there for purchase services at nearly $2.25 million, supplies at $1.25 million, capital outlay at just over $200,000, and other expenditures at $58,000. Any questions?
Can you remind me, Steve, I think I've probably asked before, but I'm slow. On the income side, under other, is that the enhancement millage income?
Yeah, under other, that will include, primarily that will be revenue that's passed through KRESA. So it's enhancement millage, it's special education, and then, when the budgets for the consortium programs like EFA and EFE are settled up, oftentimes we'll get money back, and that's reflected in that other revenue as well.
Thanks.
Yep. Other questions on that? Okay, if not, then second item in the report is just an update on the district's investments, and format is similar to what we've seen all year now. Investments are broken down by fund, and with the largest share of investments obviously related to the district's bonded construction funds, including the 2022 Building and Site Fund as well as the 2020 Building and Site Fund. And you can see that for the 2022 fund, market value of investments is at $14.08 million. 2020 Building and Site Fund, we're at just under $2.5 million. So we continue to spend those down. Not a lot of activity right now, but as we head towards the summer, as the next round of projects goes through, we'll spend those down significantly in the coming summer. Beyond that, we have 1.7 of debt retirement funds invested, as well as general funds. At the end of the month, we actually were able to increase that pretty substantially. So we were right around $4.56 million of investments in the general fund. So again, we're doing what we can to take advantage of those higher rates. I mentioned on the income side, we were ahead of schedule. At this time last year, the general fund had a whopping $300 of investment income. There just was nothing to really earn at that time. And year-to-date this year, we're at about 57,000. So, and those rates continue to look favorable as we move forward.
That's great.
Any questions? Okay,
Thanks, Steve.
and that will conclude my report. Thank you.
Okay, Indian Lake Elementary Annual Report. Sarah?
Okay, I do want to say, if you want to go, you are welcome to go. I know it was a really fascinating financial report.
Yeah, all the fun's over.
And all the fun's over now, so.
Yeah.
Sarah, you want to start?
Yeah, and would you mind transitioning to out here so you can see the slides a little bit better?
Somehow just stuck. Oh, again?
And maybe grab some snacks.
I know.
Okay, are we ready? All right, so I wanted to start tonight because a lot happened between the last time we met out here and just getting us to the school year, to the 2023 school year. So I'm going to run through some fun things that happened over the summer and spring. A lot of kids learned to ride bikes here at Indian Lake. We have this really fun partnership, and Mrs. Odell was able to keep it going. So that was a fun spring activity. OEC visits and some cleanup with Mrs. Christensen. Mrs. Schmidt's class got this nice shout out because they did not want to leave until this job was done. So you can see kind of the before and after there on the right, and they just worked so hard. Didn't they, Mrs. Schmidt? Yes. I got to experience my first fifth grade graduation as a proud principal, which was a first for me. And thankfully for me, it was student-led. So it was just great to sit back and enjoy and just hear the kids, share their accomplishments and their memories, and they did a great job. As you know, we packed this whole place up, and that was a job. Just a few pictures. Every day I'd walk through and it was like, oh my gosh, more boxes. It was just amazing. And not only did we pack up the building, we had a garage sale because we had so much stuff. And I kind of forgot about that. And I don't know, I thought it was a fun memory. Over the summer, a lot of teachers here at Indian Lake helped with summer services. Mr. B did a great job kind of heading up the summer services for our kids. I think there were about 80 kids in summer school this year. And Mrs. McCaw and I just kind of got to visit and pop in and read, and the fun that they were having and just the excitement was really cool. So that was a good experience for a lot of kids. We hired some people over the summer. You met some of our new people at the December board meeting, but also Mrs. Cousins is an Indian Lake alumni. So that was kind of fun. We were just talking today about how she had Mrs. Jamerson as a teacher, and now she's, working with her every day. And then some great parapros that we brought in that have really had an awesome skill set to support all of our kids here. And then unpacking. So this is what the building looked like when I came back from summer break. And you can see DJ there. He, from Frederick's Construction, was just so helpful in partnering with our maintenance department and just making sure that our building was safe and ready to go for our open house. And we were even able to have that on time, which meant a lot to us because we couldn't have our open house, the previous year. So that was a big celebration. You can see our library there with the carpet not quite in and the shelves not quite where they belong, but it was a fun adventure.
Can you tell us what construction,
Yeah.
what was done in this building?
So our AC, and then most of our ceilings and lighting then were new. The library got new flooring and a couple of classrooms. But the heating and cooling made we just had to get everything out of the way. Every closet and nook and cranny. The safety carnival. I think that we've shared about this before, but it is such a fun event and such a good way to kind of wrap up the summer. And another first was the dunk tank for me. Good times. This year we really just decided to make a commitment to investing in future educators. So we've had a good number of interns in the building, and not just teachers, but counselors and speech pathologists. And up in the corner, you can see Lily. She's a VHS student who has a CTE out here every day. So that's really exciting to see her come back and be in the building again. And then ta-da, we're at the fall. We've got our rainbow shining over us, and this is our staff picture, right before our open house.
Who's got the golden retriever?
Oh, that's Stella. So Stella technically belongs to Mrs. Blau, but she is our therapy dog that comes out every day. So I love Stella. She's a great resource for kids, great motivator, and brings a lot of comfort to a lot of staff and students. Okay, so this isn't anything new. We started the year off with the same vision, mission, and belief statements. Last year, my belief statement that I really clung to in my first year was that mistakes are expected, inspected, and respected. And still very meaningful, but this year as a staff, we really focused on when students don't learn the way we teach, we will find ways to teach the way they learn. So again, not a new slide for anybody, but the pieces in gray are really where we have been focusing at Indian Lake this year in terms of investing in our multi-tiered systems of support, high-performing collaborative teams, using meaningful data to make decisions, and most importantly, take some actions to improve our student results. The Learning by Doing book is just a book that we're reading together as a district continuous improvement leadership team, and it's been great to just kind of refocus us. I think we've spent some years in survival a little bit, and so being able to get back to what works and implementing those best practices. We kind of came into the year with a few areas of focus, or a few, just areas that we wanted to really make sure we were doing well. So social emotional growth, targeting student learning gaps, and then our attendance. Of course, we utilize our multi-tiered systems of support to make that all happen, and really focusing on the whole child and making sure that we're balanced and meeting the needs of all students. So I'm going to walk you through some of our academics. We look at proficiency. Here, I'm going to get to my notes because we're going to get through some data. Academics. Okay. So we do need to remember that student achievement is typically shown through one score at a single point in time. And we know that there's more to each student's story than just that single data point. But nonetheless, this proficiency data gives us a snapshot of where we've been, where we are now, and where we're headed. So our continuous improvement goal for this year was based on where we were performing last year. So in the winter of 22, 65% of students across the district were performing at or above grade level in reading. Our goal for this year was to have 68% of students reading at or above grade level. And on our winter assessment, 72% of students at Indian Lake were at or above grade level. So since our end goal was 71%, we are shooting now for 75. So see how we do between now and the end. Oh yeah, one little thing that we kind of recognized was that our assessment calendar, we tweaked that a little bit this year. And so we tested kids about a month sooner this year than we did last year.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
So can you go back
Yeah, and thank you for asking a question, because I meant to say at the beginning, please just ask questions. Yeah.
So, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm reading that as Indian Lake Elementary is 72% above like the state level. Am I reading that wrong?
No, I would say it's 71% are proficient readers at Indian Lake.
By what standard?
So we use a norm referenced assessment. It's our star reading assessment. So it's nationally normed. So that is looking at all students who have participated in there in the star assessment. Okay. When we look back over the last few years, so I tried to just show here our winter data. I find the table a little bit more helpful than the colorful graphic, but let your eyes go where they'd like. But 1920 was the year COVID hit, and we had about 75% of our kids at or above grade level with reading, and we're getting pretty close. We're back at 72, so we're happy to see that. And really, when you break that down, it's a matter of a handful of kids. So I think there's some cause to celebrate there. For math, well, you can see that our goal middle of the year was 70. We wanted to go from 78% to 81% proficiency, and that is where we were right on our winter screener. So we're right where we want to be, and we'd like to end the year with 84% at or above proficient in math. And then just a little bit of historical there. So we're really similar to where we were last year, and we'd like to eke back up to where we were. Okay, but we want to talk about growth too. So we talk about student proficiency, are they at grade level or above, but we also want to look at, are they growing? So even if they're starting at or above grade level, we still, our hope is still that kids would be growing. So we use this measurement called student growth percentile. And a typical growth number that you can kind of think about is 50. 50 would represent typical growth, but really it's more of a range, say 35 to 65. So I put that red line there to indicate 50, but you can see this year from the fall to winter, our students on average have an average SGP of 64. So we're right at the top end of that growth percentile. Sorry, let me clarify. This is for the early literacy. So this is like BKK in first grade. Then usually in first grade, they transition to the STAR reading assessment, and then we use that first through fifth grade. And you can see here that our SGP currently is 54, so we're right in that average range. I'm feeling good about that. And then our STAR math SGP, again, right around that 54 point, and very similar to where we were pre-COVID. Okay, attendance. So attendance is kind of a tricky thing to talk about because we've been in such a weird spot for the last few years. And so we knew at the end of last year that we were kind of seeing some new things in terms of just not the dedication to attendance that we were hoping to see, especially coming out of missing so much school. We just knew we have to get kids here so that they can learn. So on this table, it shows the average percentage of school days attended. So last year, one of our biggest barriers was attendance. If you look at the red and green numbers in the table, so look to the right there, you can see how this year compares to last year. This October, we were pretty worried because our attendance was lower than it was last year when we were contact tracing and quarantine. So I'm gonna just be honest, I was freaking out a little bit. We've got big goals, we need kids here. So our building leadership team worked together to draft a letter to send to all families, and after that low attendance rate in October, and the response to our letter was incredible. And in November, attendance increased drastically. So then, December germs, I don't know if any of you had some germs in December, but a lot of us did, that hit pretty hard. So again, as a staff, we, circle of control, what can we do? And we really just decided we needed to kind of go back to some of those more frequent hand washing, wiping of desks. Not quite as strict as we were doing during COVID, but we just needed to do all that we could to keep kids healthy in here and staff healthy in here. When we returned from winter break, we started focusing on just raising awareness, building stamina in students. We also saw a pattern of our half days where we would have twice the absences on a half day as we would on a full day. So we started doing like event days. So we would have celebrations and parties and things on those half days to really draw kids in. And just encouraging some classroom conversations. And we're looking at doing some equitable incentivizing in the spring so that we can end on a high note there and finish the year in green. Through our family survey that we took in the fall, we recognized that there was an opportunity to bring families in and show them what school looks like now. Again, through COVID, it was, oh gosh, you okay? Families were not able to come in like they would have typically, and a lot kind of changed over time, and so we thought we just want to bring people in and let them see what school looks like now. So Jessica Wheeler, who we recognized earlier, kind of helped us develop this Rediscover Indian Lake night. And so these are just a couple of slides from that night, but we really just we had a pizza party for the kids in the gym, we had a movie night, we had a couple of really fabulous parapros who are also parents who just kind of supervised, and then all the adults went into the library and we talked about what does our core, what does our tier 1 look like for reading and math, and then just kind of walked through what the day looks like. Some things that we're also really proud of is those tier 1 opportunities for all, which includes specials. And you can see here, something that was really fun for me this year, it's a new experience, was Patty came to me, Mrs. Heinzelman, really early in the year and said, there's this really cool opportunity. We haven't really been able to do it much lately. What do you think about making it happen? So our staff just really committed to making time and space for some performing arts partnerships and education for the arts. And so 85% of our kids were able to participate in that, which was really fun. So a lot of creative movement classes, and then some field trips kind of come out of that too. So now they're able to visit the orchestra and do some fun trips too. Some academic spotlights. Things that I don't think it's anything new, but just cause for celebration with our OEC visits. Recently, our second graders gave their presentations on Black History Month. Every class has some good research projects that they share with us. The Blacks Museum will be back this year. And then, of course, things like Lego Club and Battle of the Books are just fun ways for kids to get involved. So it's March's Reading Month. Like the student council said, it would be so fun if you walked throughout the building because there's a lot of fun things up for March's Reading Month right now. And one of the things that we tried this year was last week on Thursday. It was called Books Before the Bell. And so we opened the doors at 8, and we had just literacy activities set up and games and read-alouds and things like that. And we had such a great turnout. Families seemed to really love that at work. It was a good time to come in and enjoy some books before the bell rang. Thinking about some tier 2 opportunities, I just really wanted to invest in our paraprofessional staff this year. Jill Barton and Sherry Blau lead our intervention team, and they do a phenomenal job making sure that kids who are qualifying for that tier 2 intervention are getting evidence-based programming every day. So we kind of have a crew that does reading and a crew that does math, and then some that wear lots of hats and do a little bit of everything. And then last year we started Speech Sprouts, which is just such a fun program that I feel so privileged that we get to host here at Indian Lake. So this is Sarah Fleming. She's our speech and language pathologist, and then there's a parapro that helps run those classes, and it's for students who have IEP goals with speech and language who are preschool aged. So she schedules them so that they come and have kind of like a mini preschool experience, which is just very rich, and we're seeing really good outcomes from those little ones. Okay, social emotional. So we know that the foundation of healthy kids is to have healthy adults. So we try to just make sure that we're paying attention to the social emotional health of our staff and adults around here. We've had some really good professional development. I love our social emotional learning team. They have really taken a strong leadership role in our building this year. We have this funny thing that when, I'm gonna be honest, when I became principal, I was like, we have a what? A social committee. And I was like, what is a social committee? But it really has become the backbone of our just emotional health, because it's kind of a systematized way to make sure that we're looking out for each other, that we're noticing and we're celebrating. And we all are a part of a subcommittee, so we try to not miss anyone in that. But it's certainly been a blessing to me, and I think blesses a lot of people in our staff. Another thing that I started doing this year, which was I kind of stole it from an idea that Kevin shared from an article about creating a workspace that you love, from a Harvard Business Review article. And it was really encouraging leaders to check in with their staff or employees daily and kind of go through these core questions. And I felt like I was setting myself up for failure if I was gonna say you have to check in with every person every day. So in our staff meetings, we have this little thing called a reflection, and it's just these core questions to prompt some reflection about what did you love this week, what did you loathe this week, what's on your, what are your big ticket items moving into next week. And it's been a really good resource for me to just kind of keep a pulse on where people are and be able to kind of see like, ooh, there's some things that are rocking the boat a little bit. What can I do to kind of smooth that out a little bit? So I think that that's helped with our social emotional well-being here at Indian Lake. Of course, we still have our 4 pillars that we are focusing on with our cell practices. I think the middle school maybe shared this too. You guys have a similar document that just sort of outlines the tiers when we think about our social emotional learning. One of the things, I think our strongest pillar is our positive behavior interventions and supports. And that is a tier 1, meaning all kids benefit from that. Setting our building-wide expectations, teaching, modeling, and reinforcing those positive behaviors, having a focus on a different character trait each month, acknowledging that, and then really monitoring our student behavior data. So these are just some pictures of our PBIS rotations, which just means, in the fall, the first week of school, after winter break, and then after spring break, we just take kids through those core areas of the class, of the building, and go through the expectations so that everyone's clear on what that's supposed to look like on the bus ramp and in the cafeteria and all the areas throughout the building. I love the picture of the recess supervisor getting all those kids at recess to just remember what do bulldogs look like at recess. So she did a great job. Our pause tickets and assemblies. So we have these little pause tickets that we're passing out, but it's not about the ticket. When we see the positive behavior, it's really about connecting, our noticing and that positive feeling with, whatever we're seeing. And then every teacher has a bucket. We draw every Friday, and then I brought this out here so you could kind of see. This is our pause cart. That kids come and shop the pause cart on Friday. And it's a great time. Mrs. Naster is our shopkeeper, and kids really enjoy getting to go see her. And then our monthly assemblies. Just some more pictures of some award winners there. Stella made one of those pictures. Trauma-informed practices. So a big part of our trauma-informed practices is our daily community circles. So every day, every classroom makes time for a community circle, which just is a way to provide, a voice for everyone, a moment to share. It can be kind of a silly topic or a more serious topic. It's a great way if you need to talk to everybody about something kind of important. You have that time built in that you can, reflect on whatever's going on. Daily zones check-ins, calming corners in the classrooms, the fidget toolkits, which I think Allison showed at her at the middle school too. We have the same basket with the toolkits. Fitness trail. We love having our Kids Hope partnership, and then our clinical counselors that come in too. Restorative justice, kind of some similar practices that overlap there. But the coolest thing happening right now is just our peer mediators. Mrs. Richardson meets with them and kind of walks them through some conflict resolution practices, and then we get to just benefit from them. so kids can fill out a little slip if they're having a conflict, and the kids who have been trained up in peer mediation can kind of problem solve with them. You can see we also utilize them at recess. They have their little safety vests and their clipboards, and it's just been a huge help and great, life skill and confidence builder for those kids that participate in that. And our explicit cell instruction mostly is happening through our zones lessons, and our counselor and our social worker are also providing some lessons. And then finally, our health and wellness. Cafeteria. Every kid experiences a cafeteria, so we really make sure that we have not only some nutritious meals that are being provided, but just people that kids look forward to seeing, starting their day with in the morning. So that's just some pictures of our good cafeteria team. Relationships and service. Our 5th grade buddies are it's just so heartwarming to see the older kids meeting with the younger kids regularly, and whatever the younger kids kind of need, if it's like just a check-in or reading or however they're supporting them. And then our 5th grade safeties is a good way for kids to kind of serve and give back. And of course you heard from the student council tonight too, and all the great things that they're doing. Fitness, just using that sledding hill. We didn't get nearly as much use out of it this year as we would have liked, but we've got some snow now, so we can celebrate that. And then just, like the student council said, making fun in the day, fun memories with our fall parade and our holiday celebrations. Just some silliness built in too. And we are so thankful for our family and community support. Where would we be, right, without all of the support that comes from our families in all kinds of ways. I think another great point is that we had 96% participation at both our fall and our winter conferences, and that, you can invite people, but I know our teachers do a lot of work, our counselor, in just making sure that we're following up and getting parents here if they need a little extra help getting here, being flexible with how we can have meaningful conversations with families about their kids. And then last but not least, our PTSO. We are definitely in a building back kind of stage with the PTSO, and just the stamina and determination that they have shown has just meant so much to us, and the kids are benefiting from that. If you're looking for something to do on Friday night, where we have our family dance right here in the gym. So, and just some great fundraisers yet to come. So that's our PTSO. And that is it. So what other questions do you have? It is. It's a rotary. Yes.
When you were looking at proficiency and growth, am I correct in thinking that you had a subset of kids who grew a lot more?
Yeah, the
Because
early.
you had a bunch of kids on watch that disappeared. So they had to grow more than that other data. So even if it was kind of diluted out, I think you didn't see as big, but there
Yeah, so and part of that is the investment in our intervention team. And returning to strong core practices this year, making sure that we're doing small group instruction within our tier 1, and then having that strong tier 2 team to get those on watch kiddos bumped into that proficiency. Yeah. Yeah, but we would like to see growth for all too.
Sure, but you had kids that did better.
Mm-hmm.
If you took them out, they would have done even better than .6 or
Yeah.
60 or whatever.
I have a question, and it's kind of a complaint, I don't know if
Okay.
I'm trying to bring it up, but I kind of think it is. My name's Christian, my better half, not here, she had to go back home, Stephanie. We have Jackson and Chloe, Chloe was here seeing me.
Yep.
Jackson's not far behind it. My family was in probably close to half of those slides when it comes to participation here at the school. My family farms just about every cornfield that's surrounding this school. It's constantly a part of this school, has been a part of this school since the school has been built. That farm is the legacy of my kids. I need to be able to teach them how to use this farm and how to do these things so that legacy can continue on. We don't have TV at our house. I don't have a single functioning TV in my house. We can't get internet at my house, which is literally right there. I can see my house if that black wall wasn't there. Internet is not something that I can even get at my house. We're huge into teaching our kids everything, every day. They're constantly by my side. My 11-year-old girl can drive the truck here and drive the truck back with a trailer behind it and a tractor on top of it. She can barely see over the dash. We are huge when it comes to teaching our kids, yet I spent probably 85 to 90% of whatever free time that we have as a family doing homework. My kids are all scoring way above the STAR tests. When I go to the teachers during conferences and ask them, how is this in comparison to what the expectations are, and they're scoring way above the STAR tests, the math, I don't know what the heck they're all called, the little stars on a piece of paper, they're blowing them off the sheet. They're doing phenomenal, yet they're getting 2s and 3s and 4s. If they're doing that phenomenal, why are they not getting all 4s? If they're doing that phenomenal, why do we have so much homework in our house? If they're doing that phenomenal, why can't my kids, my better half, be sitting right here beside us and not there doing homework right now? Because she's not going to finish her homework tonight because she came in sang. She's going to have 2 extra days making up homework because she had to come and sing in this. Well, I mean, she wanted to be here, obviously, but she has 2 extra days of making up the homework now because she was there. When we built the truck, that truck that was in the slide, we had to make up 3 days of homework in the 2.5 hours it took for us to build that truck. It took us 3 days to make up that homework. I don't understand if they're that far ahead of what they're expected to be across the country or across the state. Why is it that we have to spend so much of our time as a family doing homework? I can't even teach my kids the basic things that they need to know how to do, the things that the school doesn't teach them, because our nose is in math homework. Our nose is in way too much homework.
Well, I think we can have another conversation about your kids in particular, but typically what we do say is family time is really important. And if it is taking that much time away from your home and your life, then I think we need to probably re-examine that. And we do usually say, for certain ages, spend this much time and call it quits. Set a timer and then be done. So must be that message hasn't gotten to you. so that's a good one for me to revisit.
What would that amount of time be for a 5th grader?
I can speak for 2nd grade. Ours is 15 minutes a night spent either between reading or math. That's at 2nd grade. So I don't
Yeah.
Most of my kids will get it done on the weekend, but then there's the block that just kind of add it in there.
So they're saying because we're live streaming, it's all kind of dead air, but I'd be happy to sit down with you. We can talk more about that. Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay.
Okay. Okay, before we go back into audience, Dave, did you have something you wanted to?
Well, when Kevin was talking about what was happening in Lansing, there's some other legislation dealing with, during COVID, lunch was provided for everyone. And there are some bills in Lansing about continuing that so that you don't have to qualify for free and reduced lunch. Now, this is an issue that's been near and dear to my wife's heart. And so you'll find this humorous. So she wrote some letters about this, saying this is something that we ought to do. And we've done successfully, and why don't we continue to do it? So she and I were having a conversation, and her phone rings. It's a 517 area code. And she goes, I don't know who this is, and puts it to voicemail. It was the lieutenant governor calling her and left a message about how he appreciated the support and what Generous Hands has done, which is what she's been involved with. But I think that's very exciting, and I'm sure your kids in your program over there would appreciate that. But that's another thing that you didn't mention that's may or may not happen, but there's a movement afoot to do that.
No, I appreciate you bringing that up, Dave.
They require kids to be at school. We should provide
Yeah, send our thanks to Paula for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I sent her an email, but I appreciate it coming from you as well.
I'm assuming she did call Gilchrist back, right?
I don't know.
He's too big not to call back. Okay, do we have anybody in the audience that wishes to address the board on a non-agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to board action required. First item is approval of the following board meeting minutes. Our regular meeting minutes dated February 13th, 2023. Special meeting minutes dated February 17th, 2023. And work session minutes dated February 27th, 2023. We'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Moved by Dave.
Support.
Supported by Tina. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of general fund invoices totaling $475,988.81.
Move approval.
Moved by Tina.
Support.
Supported by Carol. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Approval of purchase card disbursements for January 2023 totaling $75,696.68.
So moved.
Moved by Jennifer.
Support.
Supported, Stephanie beat you.
Okay.
Supported by Stephanie. Discussion? Okay, Stephanie?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Item D, approval of the Jewel settlement resolution.
So moved.
Moved by Tina?
Support.
Supported by Carol. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Item E, approval to extend Superintendent Kevin O'Neill's contract as per contractual agreement.
Move approval.
Moved by Tina?
Support.
Supported by Jennifer. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. And item F, first reading approval of policy 3120.
So moved.
Moved by Jennifer?
Support.
Supported by Stephanie. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yep.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion
Yes, yes,
carries.
yes.
And on that, we stand adjourned at thank you for welcoming us, and it was a great meeting.
Welping us.